Matawan is a 63-year-old Italian from Tuscany. Installed in a hippie community in the early 60s, before moving into the Ecological Ecovillage, he has witnessed the community's evolutions.
The movement of ecovillages has come up as a result of on a critical to the way the society, the mainstream society is today, the way we treat the nature, environment, how society is built up, how economy is going on. Instead of fighting maybe in the political arena for realizing that vision, they try to live that vision. We don't fight against mainstream society or we don't want to provoke anything. We want to actually, on opposite, we want to communicate. The hippie movement was completely against the traditional family, and see it, the traditional family structure as a completely negative thing. While in the Ecovillage movement, there is more openness somehow for different point of view.
130 adults and 63 children live in this eco-village that is like a miniature village. 50 families have settled here. All the houses are different, as everyone builds their own house. Ben is Viana's son. He lives here with his partner Sarah and their 2 daughters. He keeps the eco-village's children every day.
Ciao, Sarah. Thank you for the...
I think it's very healthy for the children that they relate to more grown-ups than just the mother and the father and the teacher. So I think your social awareness expands a lot with that. Because they, like our youngest daughter is 3 years, almost 4, and in the morning, in the weekend, she say, okay, I go play with the Frederike, and she leaves the house herself. She go knock on the door, and she know her good friend's mother, and she can go in, eat breakfast with them. If you would teach subjects in school of alternative living, maybe there would be as many kids in local schools choosing that or normal, but people, because they simply don't know, they have no, it's outside their knowledge.
I like the openness that exists in this village, like the way people accept each other, because I think we are really we have some common goals, but we are very different from each other.
One of the eco-villagers' priorities is to provoke changes in behavior in order to ensure a future to our planet.
Even if we are changing the climate and we are affecting the nature and making many species die, there is so little action at the political level. One word that is very misused in our time is growth. Growth should be about the whole society, not only part of society. Not only having more things in the house or more money in the bank. I'm more for the economical degrowth.
Degrowth, economic concept in favor of a decrease in consumption and a relocation of the economy to reduce the ecological footprint, aims to establish a society in which people live better by consuming less.
Normally the media and the government, they talk like as a danger if a society is not growing economically. Of course, it means a change. They cannot see farther than their nose. their nose is the power they have, and so maybe the change must be somewhere else. One of the sides of Ecological Village is our relations to the energy. So we thought that would have been a good idea to produce energy ourselves. And in 1994, we decided to build a windmill. And the windmill, you can see, is the result of that project. The Danish Ecovillage network that I'm part of has made an inquiry, and we have published it in our magazine, in our number in English we made in 2009. So the results show that in an ecovillage we use 60% less energy than in mainstream houses and then mainstream villages and cities. It looks like in Europe they have problems to go to 20% less. We can make it much better. It's okay we bless the food?
That's fine.
It's Tack solo jord för medien på vår spår. Välsigne vara med den offer på jorden. Bon appetito.
Enjoy this food.
I was hungry. In Denmark, we have the biggest net of ecovillages in the world. These ecovillages growing, popping up around. We see in Europe, every country has some coming up. And they are catalysator of a new worldview, of a new way of seeing the world, of seeing a human being. Hello, Alfred.
Hello, Matawan.
How is it going?
Okay.
Alfred settled here in 1994. He has always lived in community, as they're very developed in Denmark, even in the cities. He has been able to gauge their process since the 60s. Matawan's good friend Alfred introduced him to this place.
I think community life is a challenge. It's a very good education in democracy. When I moved in, it was much more a common sense or common spirit of what we could do together. Today it is more individualistic, but it's like the rest of the society. Everybody has their own project. Either it's yoga or it's children or it's ecology, whatever.
The land on which the Ecovillage is built was purchased in 1989, and it took 7 years to get the formalities done. Many participants left the project along the way, given the administrative difficulties, more complex than they had imagined. Matawan settled here in 1994.
This is one of the nicest places in our village. It's the garden called Stardust. And in this garden, there is a very special tree. This is a tree that is as old as the community. This oak tree is born with the Ecovillage.
Viana has always lived in community since childhood. She is one of the founders of this Ecovillage, where she settled from its start in 1990 with her husband and 3 children. Her son Ben also lives in the Ecovillage with his 2 daughters. Viana regularly takes care of them. Today still, she has difficulty evoking the hard times of the early years.
In the beginning, it was everything here was just a field. There was no trees, only very, very, very special, beautiful garden on the farm. which was our meeting place, because we didn't have any houses yet, so we have to live in wagons. I think we didn't worry so much because, as I said, I think in the first 7 years I worked all the time. I think the key to a good village is to have the courage to keep on trying. It's what you could want for the world, in a way, I think. Because in a way I feel that if you should explain where I live, maybe to somebody on the other side of the world, I could say in a way that I live in paradise.
Let go.
This new world view is also reflected in the Ecovillage of Siebenlinden in Germany, where the concept of degrowth is also applied. To become independent of the system, the inhabitants try to be self-sufficient by consuming the food and energy they produce.
Ecovillages are a kind of laboratory where we experiment more ecological lifestyles. For me, ecovillages are one answer to the problems the world faces today, a path for the future. With regards to energy, we are 80% self-sufficient with solar panels. This varies a bit depending on the sun's intensity.
Das ist allerdings ein Durchschnittsbetrag, weil die Sonne scheint eben manchmal viel und manchmal wenig.
With regards to food, we're 70% self-sufficient with our vegetables, herbs and grains.
Kräuter hier in den Mixer.
I put the herbs in the blender.
Sammle gerade mein Frühstück, so wie ich es.
I pick my breakfast. Herbs that I pick every morning to make a smoothie. That's my breakfast.
Smoothie und das ist mein Frühstück. Und das ist Deutschland.
This is the first straw bale house in Germany to be validated by the authorities. It was built with the goal of consuming only 10% of the energy of an ordinary home of the same size.
Verbrauchen wurde. Ich glaube, dass es
I think that if we're so extreme and radical, it's because the world is too.
glaube ich, braucht es auch.
And so I think we need radical solutions. Many people need bridges that are not so abrupt in order to cross them. But we also need radical experimentation to show that it's possible and that we can very well live this way.
Lavendel.
Ja. Heute sind es nicht ganz so viele. Das?
Blumenkohl oder Brokkoli oder sowas.
Lecker.
Sag mal.
Try to go.
dein Name? Ich weiß nicht, wie ging es dir denn mit Alexandra gestern?
Ich bin zur Rohkost gekommen, weil ich das schon immer mal ausprobieren wollte.
I've come to raw food because I've always wanted to try. I noticed that when I eat raw food like a carrot or a cucumber, it's another satisfaction than eating cooked food. I love eating cooked meals, but I really wanted to try what it is to eat only raw. And finally I continued because I feel better. I'm healthier. It's not only for that reason, but that is a great motivation for me. I realize that I feel much better in general. I'm rarely sick. I have more energy during the day. I sleep less. Everything's better.
If these eco-villagers tend to be self-sufficient and independent of society, their income comes mostly from the visitors they receive. Unlike Düsseldorf in Denmark, where all the residents work outside the community, in Germany, at Siebenlinden, only 5 people do not work in the eco-village. The whole of their income therefore comes from the holidays and taxes paid by visitors. It's the case for this French couple, Lisa and Pablo. During their 2-week stay at Siebenlinden, they pay holiday and restaurant taxes and also contribute by working in the eco-village.
The quality of life here involves a cost that's quite high. So it's both locals and visitors who pay for it. It's fine to have seminars, but maybe it could be complemented with other activities, which will help to bring in money and make the community less dependent on visitors.
Ich würde sagen, dass wir in Siebenlinden wie so in so einer Schraubzinge uns
We face contradictions here in Siebenlinden because we see this whole process in development. For example, we're trying to professionalize our awareness seminars.
Zum Beispiel versuchen, unseren Seminarbetrieb professioneller zu machen.
We're setting up profitable business activities because we simply need the money, and this is increasingly the case because we auto-finance most of what we do.
Auch immer mehr Geld brauchen, weil wir hier sehr viel selber finanzieren.
On the other hand, there are people who come here to live even more simply, with very little money, and want to do even more things themselves. We're therefore faced with a dilemma.
Das ist eine richtige Zerreißprobe.
The desire for self-sufficiency goes beyond food and energy, since kindergarten children even have their own school within the eco-village. They study all year in the woods to develop their independence. The success of this schooling attracts even the parents of surrounding villages who have enrolled their children in this school.
Ob Kinder im Waldkindergarten autonomer sind oder selbstständiger?
I think we're not that different from a traditional kindergarten in a house.
Oder auch woanders. Ich würde sagen, das hängt mehr davon ab, wie das gesamte
Except that many of us are familiar with the plants and animals in our environment. Sometimes better than the parents are.
Abgesehen davon, dass viele von uns hier einfach Pflanzen und Tiere sehr gut können, oftmals besser als ihre Eltern. Nee, esst die mal nicht auf. Ich glaube, die kommen wieder zurück. So, also
Children know the names of plants and insects.
Die Frage ist, was
The question of the concept of such a kindergarten can be posed. How can we teach greater autonomy to children?
Also ich bin sehr glücklich darüber, dass
I'm very happy to be living here
weil ich auch einfach
because we're so close to nature and I have so many friends.
und ich habe so viele Freunde hier und
It's almost like heaven.
fast wie das Paradies.
When I turn 18 and when I'm older, I want to continue living in an eco-village, in a community or at least with roommates. When I was younger, I told my daddy I never want to live in a city because of the noise from the cars and the lights. They'll stop me from sleeping.
Wir leben in einer Wissensgesellschaft. Ich finde, wir sind
We live in a world of knowledge. I think we're very well informed in Germany on all the things happening in the world.
Und aber ich nehme wahr, dass das einfach so
But I also realize that there's a gap between what we hear and know and how we behave.
Wir handeln.
The fact of living here is in all cases also political work. In Germany there's a saying, privacy is policy. And if you try to find alternative private lifestyles, it is also somehow a political commitment, in the sense that we are trying to change society today.
Changing
the world is very important to me, because as it is now, I mean, me personally, I'm fine. But when I see what is happening in the world, I can't stay in my corner just to observe. There is so much misery and injustice in this world, and I can't be content to sit here and watch. I have to do something to change that.
Die Situation zu verbessern.
The idea of creating an eco-village existed well before the fall of the wall. But just after the wall came down, there were a lot of empty spaces in East Germany where something new could be created.
Wo was Neues passieren konnte. Also es gab viel Leerstand und ich würde sagen, es war wie ein kleines Fenster.
For me, it was like a small window in history when something could be done, like creating a village. But it's not as easy as one thinks, founding a village.
Dieter is one of the co-founders of the Ecovillage and settled here in 1997.
We're here for the sole eco-village started in nature.
Weil wir beweisen konnten, als Genossenschaft auch, dass
we struggled to demonstrate that our cooperative will not damage nature, that to preserve it we would minimize infrastructure, roads, water supply, the least possible damage to nature.
Den Hausbau oder die Infrastruktur der Versorgung mit Wasser und so weiter, dass wir das alles minimieren werden.
The question of eco-village recognition hasn't really been discussed in Germany, despite our desire to work in a very open way. There's not been any real awareness that it can even exist. So we have contacts with members of parliament. Party members have even come to visit us to see how we work, and they realize that we function quite well. But what we need is to raise awareness and public support, because the current laws and regulations don't necessarily lend themselves to this type of entity.
Achim is German too, but he preferred to find land in Spain, where laws and local elected officials are more flexible, especially since the Andalusian sun greatly facilitates energy self-sufficiency.
On one hand, it's easy because
something like what we did here in Germany would be perhaps impossible to do it because it's so rigid. Here the problem is a little bit other way around, that the things aren't well defined. So you can do a lot till nobody denounces you, but if you get denounced, it's also difficult to improve, especially on the lower end of any type of building. So small buildings, it's not really defined what you need to build it or if you need permission or not. Where in Germany they have every law exactly defined, here's not. So I think we are really in a tipping point of human evolution where we still could have the time to work on a concept for the future, but like politics is really closing their eyes. It's really to be seen what happens after peak oil, and they just try to continue as usual. The sentence of Buckminster Fuller is very important to me, who said that if you want to change the things, don't fight against the existing, create something new, which is the old, which is making the old way obsolete. There's a nuclear station exploding and their peak oil, the oil is nearly finished, and everybody's like continuing as if nothing would happen. This, I think, is difficult for me to understand.
See trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
The system wouldn't last as long. And it's stupid now to work in this system, to have any money which might not be there because the whole thing is collapsing. And I still think like this. So mainly my protection for the future is to build up a sustainable place which is able to feed us. We create all our energy. Electricity you get from the grid is in most areas quite connected with nuclear power. So I don't want to have to do anything with this. So it's something dirty coming through the grid, I feel like. Something which is creating pollution or a great risk on another place. For sure I believe that another world is possible. And I hope that all this crisis we experiment in the moment is helping for this to happen. Yes! You grow in this society and you think everything is so normal. A lot of people coming here, they saw the website and they have no idea how to change their life because they don't know what else can exist and they just want to see that other life is possible.
Pues he decidido venir a este sitio porque
I came here because I wanted to learn about the world of ecovillages. I also wanted to know myself better, live more in touch with nature, relax, and live more peacefully, away from my everyday life. I learned to become more serene here. It's all these things I'll take home with me now.
Achim's girlfriend moved to the Ecovillage 5 years ago.
I became maybe more calm, more settled. I feel I have more ground and more my feet on the ground now. For me, it's important to give people an inspiration or to give them at least the opportunity to see our life here and this place, that they can get an inspiration and an idea, and maybe they find the motivation to change their lives. What we are doing here is a good job, that we receive people here and give them hope.
Here we have an example of this philosophy, what we have to try really break the barriers between human life and the nature, to keep on having certain comfort, but live really in a very strong contact with nature. For that we have several spaces which you can open a lot in summer, and in winter it's closed. So here's an example how to open this space to later live much more connected. Come on, Alex, give me a helping hand. So we close the normal door. I have to go in, 1 moment. And now, give me a helping hand to rise it. Can you hold it? Okay. Okay. Should be fine. So, come in.
I'd like to live in an eco-village, firstly because I want to live as part of a community. I love living with other people. I think it's more natural. And also for my children, when I have some, I'd like for them to grow up in a larger family. Because to raise children, I don't think that just 2 people is enough. And here, houses are made with clay from the earth. It's as if they sprung up from the ground. When you're here, you can feel that man interacted with nature and made it more beautiful. Normally, it's the other way round. You feel that everything is made with natural materials that integrate well in the homes.
The homes that emerged and the atypical lifestyle initially intrigued the inhabitants of the small neighboring village, Yator, where Achim was considered an eccentric.
Achim is my friend. I've known him since he was little. What he did here, nobody would have thought it could work. Compost, an ecological washing machine, a water purification system. Everyone thought it was crazy at first. And over time, we all realized that this was something that was effective, that could work.
People have a need to really learn solid things to change their life. Because the more the crisis appeared, the more people contacted us and said, wow, I live in Madrid or Berlin or wherever, and I've seen you living like this. I want to know how to do this. I want to get out of the city and I have no clue how to do it.
After this overview of European eco-villages, we wondered what it was like in France, where it is difficult to establish nomadic habitats. Indeed, this type of habitat is only allowed when numerous conditions are met. Connection to electricity, in particular, is mandatory. Michel was thus obliged to create a campsite in order to place his yurts and trailers. He lives here year-round with his wife Corinne.
Nomadic dwellings are more or less prohibited in France, let's say with the urban planning code. I think it's a shame because people can no longer afford housing in a nomadic dwelling. A yurt costs about 1,500 euros if you make it yourself, between 3,000 and 10,000 euros if bought from someone who makes them, and I think that's not normal.
Currently, it's for the municipalities to decide if they will accept or not the installation of yurts as a main residence.
I realised that there could be administrative bottlenecks, so I met elected officials, the administration and the regulatory offices. I'm not against controls, on the contrary. It's precisely in this way that things will evolve, because if we stay cut off and we don't understand each other, then we create conflict, and I think that that exhausts us mutually on both sides. While if we try to work together, we work with intelligence. They are human beings too, like me. So that's what interests me, to meet and see what solutions we can find together. You're on time. Well, yes, I'm on time. I came to see you because I know you're going to leave town hall, and so I'd love to show you around my cabin. Gladly, I've heard about it, and saw it only from the outside. We've spoken many times, as we've had some problems and difficulties, sometimes administrative. What I really appreciated about him is that he has always listened and wanted to integrate perfectly the village, and I think he is integrated, as he is popular. I mean, it's very difficult when you have projects that are a little outside the norm. We've always tried to avoid displeasing the local population, the city council. There has always been an ongoing dialogue, and I'm very happy with the result.
Like Achim, Michel wants to raise awareness in the greatest number of people on the possibility of living differently, more respectfully of the environment, and by consuming less. For this, he regularly welcomes families.
Okay, follow me, and we'll go and see the cabin immediately. Okay, so here there's a bed for you, and a bed for the children. The fold up there. There you are. Good. Do you smoke, in fact? No. Good. Great. If you don't smoke, that's even better.
No, almost never.
I took 3 days to think about it. When I got into the smart box or cool gift boxes, and I thought, touching all these people, I tell myself it's possible, so I wouldn't say I'm using the system because at least I can reach many more people. So that's important, to meet other people, because otherwise they wouldn't come here, maybe. When I do the tours, what is important for me is to touch people's consciences, because I always have open consciences in front of me. So I show them that it's possible to live differently because I've lived it for myself. I was in the system and I'm still in it in some way because I am. I have an individual business. I have a commerce number in order to receive school classes to be validated by the National Education. But I try to make the connection between people who live in cities and those who live like us here in a different way and show that it is possible. We can change lives.
What do you prefer, your home or the cabin and all that?
I prefer the cabin.
Would you like to live in the cabin?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's really pretty and looks like Tinkerbell's home. I like it here because it's a real holiday and it's not like spending the day in front of the TV and all that.
It's true that seeing different things will allow them to open up their minds. It's not like Disneyland or McDonald's. They do other things. They like the mountains and the countryside. They don't need anything to play. We want to go for a walk, but all they want to do is stay in the cabin.
Finding yourself in nature with no stores, no network, you know, it feels good when you're from a city. We're from Lyon. So it's a choice. When you go on vacation, you choose such places because it will change your daily life, your routine, so it feels good. It also sort of puts you back in your place. We're also human beings in nature. I like this kind of thing. Yes, there's another yurt with a child, and then tomorrow I have the tree house that will be taken as well. Come in. So there you have a good feather comforter. I'll let you turn it on, then you can settle in yourselves. And then after that, you turn off the small lamps.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Hello.
Bonjour.
Hello.
Bonjour. Je vous laisse vous installer.
Have a seat.
Vous avez bien dormi?
Did you sleep well in the cabin? Very, very well. What can I get you? Coffee, tea, hot chocolate?
Du chocolat.
I'll have some tea. If you want, you can have some. You want a hot chocolate? You will drink it, right?
C'est un lieu de transmission et de partage, de convivialité.
It's a place of transmission and sharing, of friendliness also, because we have an ecological campground. For us, that means it's not discos and noise, it's the sound of nature. The stream, people who bring their own instruments, guitars, things that are in harmony with this place.
Des choses qui sont en harmonie avec ce lieu, quoi. Alors, nous sommes
We're a couple of acupuncturists who spent last weekend in a yurt. And since last week, the hummingbird has made its way. We're buying our own house to renovate. Thank you for this wonderful meeting and the awakening of our consciousness. If we can really help people, it makes us happy too.
To best transmit his experience, Michel organizes guided tours for every person who sleeps in his campground.
So here is the phytopurification. So it's all the grey water coming from the house: kitchen, washing machine, bathroom and shower. So here are the dry toilets. What's written on the board there? Read me, what's written there? What's written?
Little house on the pee-pee prairie.
Why waterless toilets? Because here we have two streams, one spring, one river, but we save water nonetheless because firstly it's 50 litres per day per person, 4 people, 200 litres of water a day. And 365 days in a year multiplied by 200 people, that's 73,000 gallons of water. 40% of the water that you pay at home goes down the toilet. The water arrives here in this small retention, and so it's all the dirty waters from the home: kitchen, washing machine, bathroom and shower, like I said. And then there is a pump which brings the water. And the water goes to the right, then to the left. It energizes the water. You can see the movement it makes. So in there are small fish too, mosquito fish, which eat the mosquito larvae, as you'll see. I demonstrate each time. It's sewer water, and I can do it. You see, I'm drinking sewage water. For me, these visits are very important because I communicate with people. I share my experience. There are discussions, and sometimes I don't even give the tour because conversations happen.
That's it. You're not 100% ecological and against progress and against those who don't live like you do.
Exactly. But I also try to make the connection because what you do in the cities, you press buttons, turn the tap, pay your bills, but you don't know any longer where your energy comes from.
That's what we were saying yesterday when we went to eat. We had a power outage one day. We have electric shutters, and so we stayed in the dark all day.
First, I'll explain my testimony. I was a draftsman, so I drew villas for 13 years. I stopped 17 years ago, and I drew 650 building permits. Now I'm redeeming my karma. I draw everything. I used my old profession in order to draw the cabin. Sometimes I receive people who work in the nuclear business, in pharmaceuticals, in the police, so I enjoy when I have them, and it always works well because I put myself at their level, and we talk about everything. In fact, last year I had someone who worked at the Tricastin nuclear plant, which is a member of Greenpeace. I think that's great, and I say thank goodness you're here, because you are the safeguards. The day there's something to denounce, you'll be there, and as long as there's the human element where you are, well, that's important. That's to say that if you love what you do, stay with it. But if you no longer like it, change your life before you get sick, get a disease. When every morning I went to work and passed the same people all alone in their car, for me, I felt unwell with myself, with my life. I had a nice apartment with a beautiful view of the Vercors, but I didn't feel good because I wasn't autonomous. I told myself, the day there's a problem, I'll be stuck. Pretend you're drawing a circle. You press a bit without going too fast. It's not about speed. You'll feel the sound come up. He's one of those people who gives a little speech which he believes profoundly, but maybe these little bits that he gives to each will perhaps help society evolve a little too. I think it's an act of resistance we're doing here. For me, I feel like a resistant in the Vercors. All political parties should advocate ecology. It should be that you wouldn't even need to have a party, a Green Party, an Ecologist Party. It doesn't make sense. This is our planet, it's our children, it's our future.
If these eco-villagers hold firmly to remaining in link with society, they also want to establish a strong bond between them. Every year, a global eco-village conference is thus organized. We attended this meeting in the Tamera Ecovillage in Portugal, 100 kilometers south of Lisbon, in the small town of Colos.
Jen and all the different communities like yours, like Tamera, where we are here, they offer, in a certain sense, a seed of hope, something different, and something that has been conquered in time, and that has been densified in time.
Hello, welcome. I'm Achim and want to present you the community mandala. I'm working on an internet platform since a year to bring out knowledge and inspiration from our project, but also offer it to other projects. And I saw a little bit, seeing our project as base and slowly getting in contact to people. And now suddenly I find myself as part of a team where we really work on a global village also of this work. So I suddenly, I'm able to bring this tool and my work from a year in a much more effective way out into the world.
What we need to do is we need to reorient the money of this world from where it's going, how much money is moving into creating destruction, and we need to move those funds into building sustainability.
We've been present at United Nations meetings for many years. Jen has a consultative status with ECOSOC. So some of the connections we have with politicians has come through those gatherings. For instance, the connection with the German government was with one of the politicians who was present at the climate change meeting in Copenhagen. And having worked for months and hoping for better results and being very disappointed, he ran into a Gen gathering one day and thought, wow, this is fascinating. What I do believe is that change will not be a top-down process. I think that has become more than evident and more than clear. You know, even I think it's the CEO of the International Panel for Climate Change has said very clearly that he believes in change from bottom up because the establishment is moving too slowly. There's vested power interests there. They have a hard time changing and they need our help. And if you look around, the awareness change that is happening in the people on this earth is amazing, and it's going very fast, and especially with the help of internet. I mean, it's just going exponentially in waves. This is what we've been seeing happening in the Arab Spring and other civil society movements. So I believe that the most underutilized resource at the moment on the planet is the willingness of people to engage for positive change.